have you ever really thought about what happens to all your stories, your advice, your private jokes, after you're gone? I mean, in this digital world, we leave behind this huge trail of data, but what about our actual voice, our truth? Well, a new service is exploring this really profound idea. What if you could actually curate that legacy yourself, sealing it away just for the people who matter most?
And that's really the whole idea here, offering a transition, not just an abrupt, sudden silence. This is the emotional heart of a new service called Cella AI. It's all built on this promise that we can help our loved ones navigate loss, offering comfort and connection in our own voice. So yeah, the big question is, how do you pull that off without it getting, super weird?
Well, Cella AI tackles that big sci-fi fear head on. And look, they are crystal clear about this. This is not about creating some kind of digital ghost designed to trick the living. The goal is the absolute opposite. It's designed to be an ethical grief mediator, a tool built from the ground up to support those left behind.
So how does it actually work? How do you go about building this digital sanctuary? Well, it all starts with you, the creator, weaving your own story, completely your own way. First thing you need to know, you're not filling out a bunch of boring, sterile forms. The entire process is built to be conversational. You just talk to the AI, almost like you're reminiscing with an old friend. The whole point is to capture your authentic voice, your memories, in a way that feels organic, intuitive, and frankly, a lot more human.
The process itself is broken down into 4 pretty simple stages. First up, you just talk. And as you do, the AI starts to learn your unique tone. Then, and this part is absolutely crucial, you create these private, partitioned dossiers for the different people in your life. One for your spouse, one for your kid, one for a best friend. As you talk, the AI is smart enough to sort your stories into the right place. Then, once you feel like you've said everything you need to say, you seal it all up.
Okay, so this dossier system, it's pretty much the secret sauce for privacy here. It means the advice you have for your child is completely separate from the inside jokes you share with your best friend. And that partitioning is absolute. What's in one dossier can never, ever be seen by someone who only has access to another. And this is all powered by some pretty sophisticated European AI from a company called Mistral, which keeps everything within a very strict privacy framework.
All right, but let's be real. If you're going to pour your most private thoughts and memories into something like this, you have to be able to trust it, like 100%. So let's talk about the security.
The whole thing is built on this really important security principle called zero-knowledge encryption. What that means in simple terms is that your data gets scrambled the second you create it, and you, and only you, hold the key. Not the company, not the people hosting the servers, nobody else can read it. It's basically the digital version of a diary with a lock that only you can open.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, but wait, who unlocks it when I'm gone? That's where the keystone comes in. This is one person you trust, but their role is purely administrative. Think of them like the executor of a will. They don't get to read what's inside. Their only job is to provide the official proof, the death certificate, which then triggers the system to give access to the right people. They can't read a single word.
And to really hammer home that trust, the entire infrastructure is based on European data sovereignty. What does that mean for you? It means all your data is physically stored in France on secure servers from a company called OVH Cloud. It's all processed under Europe's super strict GDPR rules. And they make one fundamental promise. Your data is never, ever resold. Period.
All right, we've covered how you build it and how it's locked down tight, but now let's flip the script. What's it actually like for the people on the other side, for the loved ones left behind?
And this is a really big deal. Your loved one doesn't just get an email with a PDF attached or a folder of old letters. Nope, they get access to an interactive chat. And that completely changes things. It turns your legacy from this static monument into a dynamic, living space for them to connect and remember.
So inside this space, they can literally ask questions, and the AI will answer using only the information you put inside their specific dossier. You can even set it up to deliver messages on future dates, like a birthday or an anniversary. The whole experience is just designed to be this gentle tool to help them process their grief and feel that continued connection.
This brings us to what might be one of Cella AI's most unique and, honestly, most interesting parts, its philosophy of ephemeral memory. This isn't just some feature, it's a set of foundational, ethical rules that guide how this digital legacy is handled over time.
Which really makes you stop and think, right? Should a digital memory like this be around forever? Cella AI has a very specific and maybe surprising answer to that question.
So their first big rule is this: it's a right of visit, not a right of ownership.
This means a loved one can come and interact with the memory. They can visit it, but they can't just download all the raw data. And why do they do that? Well, it's to protect your words, to make sure they can't be copied, pasted, and taken out of context, or worse, used to train other AIs down the line. The memory stays a sacred space.
And rule number 2? Honestly, it's even more radical. The right to be forgotten. When a survivor doesn't need the service anymore, or just stops maintaining it, the data for their dossier is irreversibly deleted. It's gone. Poof. Forever. And this isn't seen as a bug or a loss. It's a feature. It's designed to allow for those final, natural stages of grieving and letting go, so the memory doesn't become a permanent crutch.
Okay, so the big question, how do you pay for something like this? The whole model is built around this idea of shared responsibility, and it's super transparent.
So let's break it down. It's kind of split into 2 parts. The creator pays a one-time fee to seal the sanctuary. Then for the survivor, access starts with a free grace period. After that, if they want to keep accessing it, it's a small monthly fee. But, and this is so important, it's completely voluntary. It is not a bill they are forced to pay. It's a choice they make if they still find it helpful.
But to kick things off right now, they have a founding member offer. And it all boils down to this number, €1.
Here's the deal. You pay a one-time, non-refundable euro to reserve a priority spot, and that euro goes directly to supporting development. In return for that support, you get a 20% discount on your final seal. Now, they're super upfront about this. There's a risk. You're supporting a project in its earliest phase, so you have to accept that if it doesn't end up making it to a full commercial launch, that euro's gone.
And what this all comes down to is a really core belief they have. This whole model is structured to avoid creating what they call a rent on death. Maintaining the memory isn't a burden or some surprise bill. It's an active, conscious, and totally voluntary choice made by the person who finds it helpful.
You know, there's a quote on their site that just perfectly sums up the whole spirit of this thing. It's not about trapping people in the past. It's a tool, a final gift that's basically saying, use this to heal, to help you move forward, but please, know when it's time to let go.
So that really leaves us with one final thought. For you personally, if you could create a sanctuary like this for your own memories, if your memory could talk after you were gone, what rules would you set for it?